The Hangar Z podcast welcomes pilot Blake Farris and TFO Brad Baer of the Las Vegas Metro Police Department.
So I was the first one arriving. I remember going down the freeway and I see the air unit beat me to the call. I was like, okay, cool. And where the house was positioned was like down at the end of a one-way street and at the end of a cul-de-sac. And all I had was the guy was outside with a weapon. I didn't know it was a gun or nothing. And as I'm coming down the street to make a right-hand turn on the cul-de-sac, the air unit arrived. And right before I was making that turn, he's like, hey, he's got a long gun. He's pointing towards the end of the street.
Wow.
He was set up in his truck.
Remember now.
He was set up in his truck. He had ammo cans, and he was pointed right where I was about to turn. And I came to a screeching halt.
Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and partnered with Vertical Valor magazine. The 2025 Blades of Valor tour continues in Las Vegas, Nevada, visiting Las Vegas Metro Police Department Air Support Unit. Las Vegas PD has an incredible hangar located on North Las Vegas Airport. This unit covers 8,000 square miles of Clark County, Nevada, with a population of 2.3 million. 70% of Nevada's population resides inside Clark County. Add 40 million visitors a year, and this unit has a great deal of responsibility in both patrol functions and search and rescue. With only 5 aircraft, they flew over 4,000 patrol hours and responded to 91 rescue calls in 2024. It is not unusual to complete a rescue in the snow-covered mountains, respond to a rescue in Lake Mead, and then handle a pursuit all in the same shift. Our conversation with pilot Blake Farris and TFO Brad Baer was fascinating. We discuss training, unit dynamics, the mixed fleet of aircraft, mission profiles, and the full-time search and rescue team located inside the hangar facility. Brad shares an impactful story working as a patrol officer where having a skilled aircrew overhead kept him safe. He knew exactly where he wanted to work someday, and now he is living his dream. Be sure to watch for 2 articles by Brent Bundy about Las Vegas Metro's Air Support Unit in Vertical Valor magazine. Special thanks to Airbus and Massif for the incredible support of this year's Blades of Valor tour. We could not do this tour without them. Thank you to our sponsors, Becker Avionics USA, BLR Aerospace, and Airbus.
Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts. The Hangar Z podcast is the first and only podcast dedicated to promoting and exploring the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation.
Still southbound, skidding to a stop. Stand by here. Looks like you're getting ready to bail. Heads up, guys, bailing. Okay, the guy, he's running through the house, jumping the fence, threw the shotgun, threw something out. Grabbing the shotgun. Don't go over that fence. Don't go over that fence. Grab the shotgun again. He is armed. Stay there. Hold your position.
It's time for your Heli Life giveaway buzzword. Listen up and remember this word because you'll need it to enter for a chance to win exclusive Heli Life gear. Ready? This episode's buzzword is radio. Visit contest.verticalhelicasts.com to enter the buzzword.
And I'll ask new trainees, hey, have you been through surveillance training or any kind of mobile surveillance? And if they have, then you know they're going to have the tools, the way that they to say things and not go, well, yeah, he's got to turn right here. Yeah. He's going to turn right. I go, objection, speculation.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, hold on.
We've all said those words. Yeah. He's got to be right there. He's got to do this. Mm-hmm. And then you realize, oh, that's all
they love to make a liar.
He's going over a curb.
Yeah. There is no rules to these bad guys. They do whatever they want. The other question I have for you from what you said, because you were away from patrol, and now you get the job here, so you impress somebody to get in here, but now you're sitting there working kind of like a patrol officer, but in a helicopter, and you said it was a steep curve.
Yes.
How did that steep curve help you when you later are now training people in the TFO position?
I was determined to make that well, it was going to be a steep curve for them no matter what.
Yeah.
Like Brad said, there's a lot of information to take in, and it's drinking from a fire hose.
Yes.
So I was determined to have that struggle be as palatable as it could be.
Yeah.
So try to take positive things from my training and do them, and then negative things and not do them, and go, what works? And so we know, I mean, back to this CFI stuff, I mean, exercise works, making sure that they're ready and they feel good, that works. So I think one of the old strategies was to kind of up the stress on trainees and go, all right, we're going to make this stressful and kind of put the squeeze on. So if you can't handle the stress, then you know early in training that it's not going to be successful.
Right.
And I said to myself, well, do we need – the job's inherently stressful. You're already going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be moving fast. If you don't need to induce it, let's not induce it. So I would say, hey, let's have fun. I'll jump in if I need to. The one thing I did differently is I kind of laid out. We go in 3 phases. We have our first phase is
11 weeks,
just the basics. Yeah, yeah. So the whole thing is
6 months.
Yeah, roughly
TFO,
6 months. Yeah, if you take a few days off here and there, it's going to be about 6 months. So in phase 1, it's just let's get those basic steps down. Phase 2 is have those basic steps down, and now we introduce the technology, and you kind of master that technology. And then by phase 3, now you're learning to be independent and work without assistance. And I think that's standard air unit stuff across the country. So I kind of wrote down on a whiteboard, like here's what you can expect in phase 1. And it's that fire hose information just kind of laid out. And so when we would get a brand new person, we sit them down and go, okay, let's go over what some of these things are. The basic of the basic is we need to know where we are, where are we going, what are we doing when we get there. And that sounds simple, it sounds easy, but that can be super tough because you've also got to add in those technology steps of receiving the call on the radio, changing the radio to the right station, putting the call in the computer so that we're navigating where we need to be. And so just by laying that out and going, all right, so when we jump in that first time, here's the basics of what you need to know. And they may not have taken all that in, but at least they have an idea of what to expect that first time. And then if you're enjoying yourself and having fun, then it's now the practice. If you're doing good practice, then it isn't so overwhelming that first few flights.
I love that you brought the principles of instruction into the TFO training. It shouldn't be isolated to the pilot training world.
Definitely not.
It applies maybe more in the TFO side. Mike Calhoun wrote the Training Through Chaos book. I don't know if you had a chance to read that, but it essentially codifies what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I was cynical, at first when you start to train for CFI, of course, you're studying those fundamentals of instruction. Oh, here's another FAA publication. Oh, yeah. And you start reading them going, man, this stuff actually makes a lot of sense now that I'm looking at it. These guys are right. And and it all rings true. And it's like, oh, yeah, I've seen that with this guy. And he did that. And once he relaxed, then all of a sudden he was picking things up. And so that's how I try to approach training. And I don't know, Brad can tell you what
and Blake was my first TFO trainer. And I learned a lot from Blake, to be honest. Like, even in those dynamic calls where the world's falling apart around you, Blake was always just like, hey, man, just zoom out.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, look, there's the guy, right? Cool, we got him. Like it was always that, I remember one time, particularly, I don't know if Blake remember, we were chasing a stolen car in our what we call Spring Valley Air Command, and the guy bailed from the truck, and he's going under car awnings, and I'm like trying to follow him tight with the camera, and he's like, just zoom out. And as soon as I zoom out, he ducks under like a little canopy. Patrol arrives. I'm like, hey, out your left. They run and grab him.
Yep. How about that?
And my main thing, I just want guys to have fun when they're flying with me. If we're having a good time, because we don't train with one trainer, so you're going to have multiple trainers, and everybody has their nuances and the things that they like. I knew there would be guys that are going to hammer you on this aspect and hammer you on orientation or hammer you on this. And I mean, to me, there was no need for a hammer. We can just, as long as we're having a good time and you're picking, and next thing you know, you've picked those skills up. And so it comes whether you like it or not. If you're doing good practice, you're going to gather the skills over time.
I want to come fly with you now.
Yeah,
right, let's do it.
Because that's the style. We've talked about this before. The calming, cool, white now. That style. That's the style.
Yeah, like he could have easily been like, you know what? Like screaming in my ear and amping me up.
Scream for you to white now.
All he was like, hey man, zoom out.
The first thing you would have done was gone, huh? You would have said, whoa.
Or I would have missed radio traffic.
That's right.
Because I would have been stressed out and tunnel vision more.
So. Yeah, we've talked about that demeanor being maybe the most important thing as an instructor of anything. So. Of anything. Patrol, you're a training officer. If you're screaming at people, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
So for those of you that are screaming at people, you're doing it wrong. And certainly in a cockpit. In a cockpit, you can't do that.
And what is the defining attribute of a pilot? A good pilot should be when everybody's fine when we're doing routine things, point A to point B. It's when something goes wrong.
Yep.
Then how do you act? Do you go, okay,
what do I got?
Run the checklist. What's the response to this? Versus, oh my God, something just happened and I wasn't expecting it.
Do something. I think remember one of the things with the FAA was the personality things. do something, anything. Well, that's not a good way to do it. And that's what they were pointing out, that's not it.
Right.
When something chaotic happens, something stressful, do something, anything is maybe the dumbest thing you could do.
Yeah.
No, take a breath and do what's right.
Yes.
Do what's on the checklist. Do what you've been trained to do. Follow the steps. Follow the flow.
Right.
Follow the checklist of the emergency. But training is, TFO training, and we'll talk more about this when we'll get back to it, but it's a difficult job as the trainer.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yes.
so you want them to succeed. You want everybody to succeed. And if you're calm and cool and fun to fly with and make it enjoyable, they're going to have a much greater chance of
sure.
success.
And they're going to retain so much more.
Oh, yes. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute here, Brad. One last thing, Blake. How does the CFI change your position here? Does it? Is it just experience? Is it going to change what you do here within the
It does.
the unit?
So it allows me to train, to do pilot training for the guys that come through. We didn't get into it, but and I'm sure like a lot of air units, we do all our training in-house. So there's no get to the unit, do your TFO training, now go out and get your basic helicopter stuff at an outside school, then come back and we'll train the police stuff. You got to be a cop. You got to be a TFO. Then we'll start pilot training.
Right.
And it's all from 0 to commercial is all done from us. So you're learning our way. And we got to obviously meet standards, but we're training the way that we fly in the aircraft that you're going to eventually fly in patrol from beginning to end. So all those hours. And we go over the top. We don't do private pilot until we're at 100 hours. Commercials at 200, right?
150, but I did mine at I think
150. Yeah, by the time you get there, usually, you're pushing 200.
Okay.
And it's a lengthy. But we tell people the coolest thing about being an air support for the first 2 years is telling people you're an air support.
Yeah, everything else kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
It's a lot of training.
It's a lot to do. But yeah, that'll allow me to train pilots that are coming through.
And I will tell you from experience that all those good traits that you had as a TFO trainer are going to benefit you as a pilot trainer.
Thank you. I hope so.
Absolutely, it's going to. It translates. It translates.
And I enjoy it. I think if I
yeah.
didn't have fun training people, I think that would show up because it's kind of you don't really have a choice when once you're finished here and you've passed commercial helicopter and you get to a certain amount of hours now. It's on you to train new TFOs that come to the unit. And so not everybody enjoys it. Some people don't like taking somebody that's brand new and going, oh, boy, I'm going to show them the basics. And we're kind of starting.
They forgot they were that at one point, though.
Yes. Yeah. It's a bummer that they do.
Yeah. You got to have the right mindset on it.
And you are doing the coolest job that there is. I mean, hands down.
Yep.
But you got to remember where you came from. And
that's right.
You got to pass that on. And that's the rewarding thing is to watch those eureka moments happen and watch that first FLIR kill. Like, it feels good. It's addicting. And
I'll give you a heads up. You're going to, the first time with your first student, the day that the hover switch goes off,
clicks on,
and all of a sudden they were in a football field yesterday hovering, and today they're like, bam.
Yep.
And that's going to be like that first FLIR kill. As a trainer, you're going to go, a lot of that was me.
Right.
You know, of what I did and how I described that technique and helped them along. So keep doing what you're doing.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.
It's going to be great. Brad, you have an interesting background as well. Tell us about yourself and how you ended up in law enforcement and how you ended up here.
I'm not sure how I got here, to be honest.
We're kind of figuring out pretty quickly how you got here. You got here from hard work and dedication. And
I had a passion.
There's no doubt.
But I love being the TFO. Yeah. It's honestly it's the best job out here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge difference. I mean, we save guys' lives out here all the time. And
no doubt.
It never goes noticed a lot of times. And that's not what I'm here for, but just having that, knowing that's what we do, it's the best. But I don't know. I grew up in a small town in Utah, on a farm, working on cars for my dad. Went to college, got my fixed wing license when I was in high school because I loved aviation. And I was like, man, I want to be an airline pilot. And then I realized you have to be gone all the time, and that's just not my personality type. I like being home with my family. So I kind of started looking around, what could I do where I can have a mission? I wanted a mission. I didn't want to fly from point A to B every day. Yeah. That's not my personality. So I started looking around, and I remember on New Year's Eve in 2017, I found out that Metro had an air unit. I did some research into it, and I remember telling my mom, I was like, I'm going to go apply for Metro. And she's like, no, you're not.
I'm going to hit pause for 1 second. Not many people that I've talked to know the exact date at which they realized.
Oh, I remember I was sitting.
Wow.
I remember I was sitting on my mom's couch in her house in Utah, and I was sitting on my laptop, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I want to do that job. And she's like, you're not moving to Las Vegas. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to try. I'm going to try, right?
That is
she's
really
like,
unique,
and so
isn't it?
I applied like that night. I submitted an application.
Oh, my gosh.
I applied that night for Las Vegas Metro. And I started the backgrounds process, and I started the academy in October of 2018. And the day, like, the air unit came to the academy and did like a little talk, I was giddy. I was like, I want to do that. So I did patrol for a couple of years, and then I went to what's now called Flex, but the former PSU team. Mm-hmm. I did that for 2 years, and then came up here. So I've only been on for 6, pushing 7 years now.
Yeah.
So
back up. What was the flying bug? You said you got your private very early.
Yeah, I got my private
what was
when
it
I was
as a kid that drew you to
So
flying?
I worked at an auto body shop.
Well, we want a date and a time that this happened as well.
I knew I wanted to be a pilot when I was 14.
14?
14.
What, 14 and a half? Or?
I don't have the day on that one. Not that good.
That was really cool, Brad. We'll never forget that.
Yeah, I worked at an auto body shop on the approach end of a runway.
Oh.
So all day long, those things would buzz me. And I'm like, I want to go do that. I'm tired of sanding cars.
Yeah.
So I did that in high school, got my license. I was fortunate. My dad had a 182 that I flew all through college, just burning hours, not really doing anything. And then I was like, I got to do something with this. But like I said, I didn't want to do airlines. So
yeah,
landed here.
That is great.
What you described is pretty neat. Clay Lacey talks about the itch to serve, and I think we all in public safety have the itch to serve. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So it's cool that you recognize at an early age that you had the itch to serve, and you figured out a way to accomplish all your goals to make that happen.
I knew I wanted to come to this unit. Like, that was my goal. Like, you can talk to any person that was in the academy with. They're like, oh yeah, he's at the air unit already. Like, we already knew that. That's where he wanted to go. But like, I remember I was a young cop in what we call Northwest, and actually Blake was the pilot that night, I think. And we got a call about, and it was a super random call. It was the wife called in saying that the husband's outside with a weapon. That was the details. That was it. So I was the first one arriving. I remember going down the freeway and I see the air unit beat me to the call. I was like, okay, cool. And where the house was positioned was like down at the end of a one-way street, like a long one-way street, and there was only one way to get in and out. And at the end of a cul-de-sac, and all I had was the guy was outside with a weapon. I didn't know it was a gun or nothing. And as I'm coming down the street to make a right-hand turn on the cul-de-sac, the air unit arrived. And right before I was making that turn, he's like, hey, he's got a long gun. He's pointing towards the end of the street.
Wow.
He was set up on his truck.
I remember now.
He was set up on his truck. He had ammo cans, and he was pointed right where I was about to turn. And I came to a screeching halt. Like, I can't tell you what was going to happen that day, but I know for sure that was not going to end well for one of us.
Yeah.
So
your windshield would have had holes.
Absolutely. And it turned into a whole SWAT barricade. We got him in custody, and everything was fine. But like, you think about that for a minute, like, no one noticed that. Nobody on that call noticed what they did that night. But like, I noticed.
You did.
Yeah, it saved you.
Saved you. That was the don't go over that fence for you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
And that's what I wanted to do when I come up here. I wanted to provide that service for patrol guys. So.
Dude, you're hitting, and that's another good one.
Yeah.
That
it's
is
crazy.
Really
and I remember
good.
I told the story later on to him. And he's like, I think I was flying that call. And I was like, I described it more. He was like, yeah, I remember flying that. He pointed the gun at us. Yeah.
What's interesting is that happens every night across the U.S. and across the world. The air crews are saving people's lives for what you just described. And it's amazing. And you said air crews don't get recognized for that, which is 100% true. Because I guarantee in that log, the watch commander's log, it said the air unit assisted with the apprehension of this thing. It didn't say any other details that you brought up. Yeah. So that was part of the passion that I had to start this. I'm like, I want to hear all these cool stories and publicize the good work that's being done by these air crews because it's amazing. Yeah. That's a great story.
Yeah, it really solidified. Like after that night, I was like, I have to do that. Like I want to provide. Like people were like, well, why do you like the air unit? You like flying around? I'm like, I like catching bad guys. That's my number 2. Number 1 is getting these guys home.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the order of the TFO job right there.
And he said, I'm going to fly with that guy.
Yeah. I didn't know who he was.
Coolest.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Do you remember that?
I do. That's one of the few where somebody actually pointed a rifle at us and we could see it on camera and we took evasive action to make sure we didn't get shot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the TFO was in my lap going, I just don't want it to hurt. And so now we had to find a way. How do we keep the camera there and not be a target ourselves? So that was, and it doesn't happen too often. We actually have somebody, well, as far as we know.
Yeah. It happens a lot more than we think, but
probably,
let's not think about it.
Yeah.
Try not to think about it. Yeah. That's amazing. the try not to think about it story immediately pops into my head where a long time ago, a Task Force 160 pilot, a Little Bird pilot, was doing a walk around for me on one of the Little Birds, and he gets to the front and he taps on the front windscreen and he says, "And this is our bulletproof glass." And I went, "Bulletproof glass? Wow!" I'm looking at it. I go, "That doesn't look." And he goes, "Nah, it's not bulletproof." And I tell myself it is every day.
A little comfort blanket.
I'll never forget that conversation. It was hilarious. But he said, "Jack, I tell myself that on every approach. It's bulletproof. It's bulletproof. It's bulletproof." And this is a guy that's been shot in the neck on an approach. I mean, but he tells himself that because
how else could you make yourself
exactly
drive
why
forward?
would you do that if you are telling yourself, "Yeah, I'm going to be all right," you know? But yeah, we've all had rifles pointed at us more often than we care to know about. But it's so cool that Blake was that pilot. One thing I want to ask you about specifically is, and it's an award you got, and I got to ask you about it. First of all, it's called the Mark Carey
Yep.
Officer of the Year Award for Proactive Policing. First of all, tell me the history of that award, the background, Mark Carey, and then tell me what you did to receive that honor.
Thank you to our sponsor, Becker Avionics. Becker Avionics, new 3D spatial audio will mitigate possible confusion in the cockpit by repeating the last 90 seconds of incoming messages broadcast over any two channels. Check out the new AMU 6500 at www.beckerusa.com.
So just the award itself, Mark Carey was an officer for Metro that was killed in the line of duty on October 11th, 1988, if I remember right. And after his death, there was an elementary school that was built in the northwest part of town where I worked patrol, and they named that school after him in his honor.
That's beautiful.
So it's great. And every year in the springtime, I can't remember, it's actually probably coming up pretty soon, they do a Mark Carey Day. Mm-hmm. And SWAT, K-9, patrol, motors, and they all go to the school and they do a presentation, they do a parade, and then they honor typically 3 officers from Northwest, grave swings and days, who have basically made a difference in their area command. So I was nominated, and I got the award a couple years ago for my proactive police work. I love proactive police work. I love getting bad guys off the street. I wasn't a big fan of like going out and just writing tickets. So if I had a car stopped, I would usually let them go if they didn't have anything. But like, I love getting bad guys, and especially DUIs. Like I saw firsthand, a little kid get killed on a DUI, and like before that point, like sometimes you'll hear cops be like, "Oh, I don't do DUIs. There's too much work, blah blah blah." But like that day after him, I was like, no.
Yep,
so
I'm not going to let that happen.
I would average 3 to 4 DUIs a week.
Yeah.
So like I really enjoyed getting those guys off the streets. So they gave me an award. The cute little first grader gave a little speech for me. It was awesome. I loved it. My wife cried. It was great.
Oh yeah. You cried too, didn't you?
Yeah, I tried not to. I tried not to. It was during COVID, and I had the face mask, so I was just kind of like,
thank God. Yeah. It's kind of, wow. First time I'm happy about this face mask.
Yeah, pretty much. So no, it was honor to honor him and everything that he sacrificed for. And that was great. I really enjoyed it.
Well, it's a nice way to remember Mark, for your department, and the school being named after him. That is amazing.
Mark Carey Elementary.
That says a lot. That tells me a little bit about Mark without knowing anything about Mark.
Sure.
That's a lot of people cared about him, and not just in the police department, for a school to get named after him, then an award. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Proactive policing is changing in the United States. It's good to hear that there's still proactive policing. That was one of the first things that popped into my mind. But the other thing is, it's translated to your current position. Talk about that, how your proactive policing mindset, how that translates into the tactical flight officer job.
I will tell you a story about a guy that I chased for 3 days it's November. We have a license plate reader system in this town, obviously, to scan stolen license plates. And I noticed on my Monday that there was this like cement gray Hyundai Elantra that had a stolen plate that was scanning. And then for some reason, patrol could never like catch up to him. And I did a little bit of digging, and I realized the plate came back to a Hyundai, right? That was probably stolen. So every day it would scan at a certain part of town, and I always try to beat it there. And then finally I'm like, I've got to do something different. He's always ghosting me. And so early on a Tuesday morning, I told the pilot, Mike, we're getting up early and we're going to be over that intersection because he always scans at this time. And sure enough, he scanned at the time. We picked him up, and he's like 2 blocks away, and he gets out of his car because he knows we're on him, and he gets out and he's like, look at it. And then he's like, and then he calls in 911. And he goes, I don't know why Metro's air unit's following me. And dispatch is like, why don't you pull over and stop? He's like, no. Well, come to find out, he's like a 25-time felon in a stolen car, and he takes off from patrol going like 120 miles an hour. We end up getting him in custody, and he's a total dirtbag. But like that to me, when the K9 pulled him out of the car that he was hiding in, I was just like, got you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got you. Like, you've been dodging me for 3 days, and now you're done.
Okay, attention all TFOs. There's that's how it's done. I mean, you were kind of a detective.
I don't know if I call myself a detective, but I was dedicated.
I told you about this guy. I'm telling you, that's the thing. Some people set the bar.
You did a detective side of things. You didn't just go up there and wait for a hit or a low jack or that. No, you had something in mind that you learned of from technology, and then you had to do some digging to figure out a little bit more. And you're going, there's a pattern. I mean, that's
come to find out,
detective work.
I
you
knew,
know?
and previous to him, like us finding him, we have like a Microsoft Teams channel that we use, and detectives at the airport had posted his car, like, hey, this car is stealing cars at the airport every night. And I recognized that there was a dent on the same side of the car, and I was like, that's the car. So they came out and they booked him for like 20 counts of burglary.
Oh my gosh.
I was thrilled. I told my pilot, I was like, hell yeah. I said some other words too that I probably shouldn't say. But I was like, that is why I come up here. That's why I love this.
That is a great example how, a good, hardworking, proactive police officer can get into a helicopter and fight crime with that same intensity and passion and dedication. I love that story.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think the LPR technology has really enabled us as air crews to become proactive,
Yes.
more proactive in our, than we could previously. Just in that story alone highlights how that's possible. My TFO, before I retired, would proactively scan his phone, looking for LPR hits. His dispatch, the way our city worked, dispatch would broadcast the LPR hits, but you had to wait, and sometimes there would be a delay.
2, 3, 4 minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
So he would keep refreshing his LPR.
That's what I do.
And we found quite a few that way.
Yep, I found cars where, like, I'll have the camera on the car going. I'm like, is that the car? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the car. And then dispatch will call it out. And then it's so funny because dispatch will be like, pardon me, you have eyes on the car? I'm like, yeah, it's right here. And she's like, I just broadcast. I'm like, oh, I saw it like 30 seconds ago. And they have no idea that we have that in the helicopter. So they're like, how does he do that?
Don't tell them.
Yeah, I don't.
Don't tell them. Hey, we're pretty good here.
Or I'll run the plate, and I'll run the plate before dispatch does. And then she's like, it comes back stolen. And patrol's like, how did the air unit out of all the cars know that one was stolen? And I'm like, magic.
It is magic.
PFM.
Oh, man. That is good stuff, Brad. Thank you for sharing that story. That's dynamite. Let's get into, because you're in it. You're still in the training mode. You've been here a couple years now.
Yeah, coming up on 2.
Yeah. And you got through your TFO training. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And now you've switched gears where you're still a TFO, but you're also in the pilot training at the simultaneously. Correct?
Yep.
That's a lot. That's a lot on your plate right now.
Yeah, it can be a lot. Like you'll usually do like a morning flight, either TFO, and then in the afternoon you'll do a training flight. So you stay fresh on the TFO side, but yeah, you're starting to get drained. Like, especially with all the studying for commercial and all that stuff. Like it definitely wears you down.
And there's 9 blocks of training.
Yeah, 9 phases of 25 hours. Yeah.
And you've gone through 8. Is that right?
I've gone through 8, and I've finished all the hours required for 9. I just need to fly with Ryan.
Oh,
get his blessing.
So that's it.
That's it.
And then you get officially winged.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? And then you can do either job.
I'm a big boy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get Brian in here right now. We'll schedule this.
Yeah. He told me next week. So.
Really?
Yeah. If y'all just tell him I'm passed. Just tell him.
Yeah. Well, we'll tell him. Well, the oral part's done, right?
Yeah,
we did it for you.
Yeah.
We'll tell
there you
him.
go. Yeah. Tell him that. Tell him that. He'll go twice as hard on me.
That's great. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You should be. That's a big deal. Once you get winged, I mean, is there some sort of ceremony?
We usually do like a little get together.
Yeah, we bring the family in.
Good.
Yeah.
I was hoping you were going
all
to
the
say that.
CFIs tell me how terrible I am. And I apologize for almost killing them a few times.
Yes.
And then,
that's normal.
Yeah.
That's normal.
I've almost done it a few times.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think
Get
it's
ready for
part
that,
of it.
Blake.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait.
You're gonna have friends try to kill you.
Yep.
I can think of many good friends that tried to kill me in a helicopter where I thought, wow, they're doing great. And I start to cross my arms, and then they try and kill me.
Yep.
And then I go, what was that? I don't know.
Yep, I did it too. I remember
Sure you
that.
did.
Something's wrong with the helicopter. That wasn't me.
Yeah, man, that collector's really stiff.
I feel like it's worth talking about the wing ceremony just for a minute, because I do think it's really important. When I think back on my time as a new TFO going through that training, and then as a new pilot going through that training, and ultimately becoming a mission pilot was probably the two hardest things I ever did in my life. Sure. And it kind of passed in my agency with nothing happened. It just all of a sudden one day I was a mission qualified pilot, and I really think that's something worth celebrating. You know, you guys do something very unique with your new TFOs and pilots. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, those were the two biggest days of my career, and they made it that way for everybody because TFO, hardest job in law enforcement, if done correctly.
For sure.
You know, that was really big, and it was you would land on your final check ride with the chief TFO in the back. You'd land, the captain would come up and say, all right, Chief TFO, how do you do? Oh, he passed. Congratulations, Jack, you're our newest TFO. And then your family and your friends would be invited. They're all on the deck when you land. And then they'd all come out and congratulate you. You get your wings pinned on. And then you'd buy lunch for everyone. And then, you'd have a lunch set up. For pilot, same thing, big deal. Family and friends, I mean, we'd fill the hangar sometimes. All your old patrol friends and family, they made a big deal out of it. And there was a time years ago where once you got those wings, TFO or pilot, you would, after they'd pin it on and everything's fine and get the handshakes, rah-rah, they'd strip off your boots and all your gear, handcuff you to a drain in the middle of the the middle of the deck, and then a fire ship would come in and dump a load of water on you.
Now that's
a pretty that's unique.
Yeah, it is. But
it's coming up, so we might be able to
before you hope for
facilitate that.
Before you hope for this, that was banned. Oh. Okay, so there was a chief.
I wonder why.
Well, this is a good part of the story too. There was a chief that knew about that because he had been there and watched them. I mean, watched this happen for a long time, and one day he said, no, you're not doing that anymore. That's hazing. Hazing? Yeah.
Oh, boy.
The first TFO not to get it, Wayne Otis, he's passed away years ago due to colon cancer. Wayne, right after he got his pilot's wings, it was terrible. We lost Wayne. Great guy. But when he got his TFO wings, I was the chief TFO, and he was the first one not to get that. He was devastated. He begged me to drop water on him and handcuff him to a drain. He said, I can't do it. Can't do it. And the ironic thing is that the chief that banned it, like months before he banned it, he was out there throwing eggs at a lieutenant, on the deck. Because you'd go out there and get handcuffed, and then your kids would come out and pour ketchup on you and mustard. And you were covered with condiments, And then they'd come in and dump water, and it would all get rinsed off. You'd go in, throw that flight suit in the trash, and shower, and come back out and enjoy lunch with your friends and family. It was a big deal. It's much more formal now, but it's still a big deal, as it should be. I agree with you. I'm really disappointed that you didn't get something like that, John. Because, like you said, two biggest accomplishments, hardest things to do in your career.
For sure.
Agreed?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Everybody I talk to agrees. Those are your two biggest things in your career.
Yeah.
And to just go, hey, there's your wings. Hey, nice job. Crickets? That's it? No.
Yeah,
it has
it's
to
a bummer
be
because it is such a big.
bigger.
It's a huge deal, and if you don't pass, imagine you have to go back to your unit and go, well, what happened? Well, didn't. And so there's a lot right when you do those check rides. It's not just the getting your ticket, aviation wise, but it's
a career. Like you could be losing a dream.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's great. That's exciting that you're so close.
I know.
We'll talk to Ryan. We'll get that scheduled for you.
For me.
Anything else on that?
I just love that you guys recognize that. I think it's very important.
Yep, it is.
For sure.
It is.
We don't make it a big enough deal. We probably should make that a bigger deal because it's a long road. 2 years
is.
Yeah. Nothing else in law enforcement takes that long.
Like you think about going to the academy at 6 months, and we do this giant presentation, right?
Right.
And it's like we've been for 2 years.
And I'm convinced that the reason that more units don't do it and get support from above is because the people above had no idea what you just went through.
Right.
They don't know the family time that you missed the past 2 years because you were studying.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Think of the studying
and their
you
sacrifice.
did.
Your family sacrifice is a lot.
It's talked about at every wing ceremony.
Yeah.
They introduce the family and say, these are the heroes.
Yeah.
This is the reason that Brad is getting his wings. It's because of these people right here. They supported him. They were the ones that had to tolerate him saying, hey, we can't do that
My
tonight.
wife says she's like, I would like a pair of wings as well.
She should get a pair of wings.
Because it's impossible without support, without family support, without somebody I mean, none of the things that I've accomplished could I have done without them making that sacrifice and helping you with. I mean, your kids are younger, but my kids jump in and help me study and read me flashcards and all kinds of things, and it couldn't be done by yourself.
We always recognize that family because we knew because we had gone through it and go, man, think of all the things that while you're studying. Hey, I've got to study tonight. Yep. I got to take an FAA exam on Monday. So this weekend we're not doing that. You can go do that, but I can't go to the beach. I can't do this. I can't go water skiing. I can't go snow skiing. Because you got to study, and you'd study for 8-10 hours, on your days off, and the commitment is huge. And man, that's it's good that that'll be celebrated and shared with your family. That's very important. Let's talk about the process. Getting to air support. I mean, it was on your radar a long time ago. Which makes me think, why were you Googling that night? What were you Googling about when you found Las Vegas Metro Air Unit?
Thank you to our sponsor, BLR Aerospace. BLR Aerospace's revolutionary fast fin system improves performance and enhances safety across various helicopter platforms. This cutting-edge aftermarket solution improves tail rotor effectiveness, stability, and payload capacity while reducing fuel consumption and pilot fatigue. Trusted globally, FastFin delivers unmatched control, efficiency, and reliabilities for diverse helicopter operations. Learn more at blraerospace.com.
I was looking up different organizations that maybe fit my personality as far as like mission.
Okay.
So military wasn't my thing. Didn't want to be gone. I'm like, where can I work when I can be home most of the time?
Yeah.
And I looked at like Phoenix. I kind of found out about law enforcement aviation. I didn't really, it wasn't really on my radar until that night. And I was like, I read what they do and I kind of watched their videos. I think Blake probably made some promo videos on YouTube. Yeah. I was like, that's cool. Let's do that.
So, in other words, Blake is influencing you before you
without
even
him realizing it. I'm probably alive because
he was
of Blake.
Googling me, and then just happened across.
Yeah,
that guy might be over me someday, and I might be in a cockpit getting trained by him. Oh my gosh, that's interesting. And but walk us through the process of once you knew. So it's almost that's a little different, but an average Las Vegas Metro officer says, you know what, that air unit thing looks pretty cool.
I would say
what's the process?
The most common way that people like approach me and ask me about the air unit, they're like, what do you need to test? Yeah. Or like, I got my license or I'm working on my license. What do I need to do to test? And obviously we have to have a license, either fixed wing or rotor, like Blake mentioned earlier. And then you've got to test. So our oral board is 55 minutes or an hour long. And that's usually the most.
If done right.
Yeah, that's usually like the
long.
biggest hurdle. Right. I would say like 90% of the people that want to come to this unit don't because of the cost of entry on that license. Mm.
Oh, yeah.
I bet if we open this up to like, hey, you just got to be a cool cop for 5 years and then we'll train you, our applicants would go through the roof. Sure. Like I bet we would have at least 50 people put in every year. Yeah. And then like our last test was like a month ago, we had 3. Yeah. 3 guys put in for it. So, I think that's the biggest barrier to this unit is that entry.
Yeah, if they would, they could.
Yeah,
for the most part.
And I've had plenty of guys be like, "Oh man, I love your job. It's just I don't want to commit the time to the license." Yeah. In the back of my head, when I hear that, I'm like, "You don't want to commit your time to this unit." Yeah. Like if you can't get a private like fixed wing, and that's not like your mission and your goal and your dedication, like you ain't gonna cut it here.
Yeah, it takes it's part of its dedication and professionalism and learning and getting those steps done because it makes it so much easier.
Almost self-destructive dedication to and determination, because there's some times when it's like, man, it's just self-punishment, almost martyr-like or like masochistic to take it on. It's like, man, this hurts. Yep, let's go back and do it again tomorrow.
We have to warn guys that come to the unit that have a little bit more tenure, like, hey, you're not going to be as comfortable as you're used to. Yeah, like it's not going to be sitting at a desk or you can come and go as you please. Like it's definitely a change of pace for some people.
Yeah, and it's hard to not be good at something. Most of us were accomplished in wherever we came from.
That's a good point.
And I was a good detective. I was a good motor cop, and I'm pretty good at everything. And so have to relearn how to. You're gonna fail. You're gonna make mistakes, and to be bad at your job all over again. Yeah. And for different reasons than you might have. Just being a cop is hard. The academy's hard. Inherently, it's built in. Yep. Being on the street for the first time, there's things you're going to have to learn. but starting all over at zero. I mean, you
humbling.
You can't just be good at it from the beginning. Brad was
no.
And he really was remarkably good from the beginning, but that's very unusual that somebody's doesn't need just to be spoon-fed almost from the beginning. Like, okay, here's step 1, step 2. And how did you make that mistake? Like, we've talked about this and going back over it. But to learn how to be not good at something all over again and go, well, I'm starting at zero and I've got to build those skills and get to that point is hard. And it's hard to accept that you're not great at it yet. You're not going to be. You can't be. And
it's a humbling experience. You're gonna go up there. Even somebody as sharp as this guy right here that you said
you guys should watch my
away.
videos. You'll change your tune real quick.
No.
Well, and it doesn't mean that there's not a. I mean, there's still a long way to go.
That's
for
right.
the skill.
He's going to make mistakes too, but we all made tons of mistakes. And then as long as you apply yourself and learn from them, and you have those building blocks, and eventually you go, "Hey, I'm starting to get this."
Yeah.
You know, and it starts to click, and you feel it. It's not that long ago that you're feeling that day where you went, "Oh yeah,
yeah."
This
sometimes
is all
you have
coming
to,
together here.
It has to be pointed out, and I'll tell Trini's, "Hey, think back to 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
Do you remember going to a call 3 weeks ago and how lost you felt when we arrived? And now think about what you do automatically, versus what you had to think about every little step. And so now that's automatic response, and now your brain power is freed up to investigate. Or you know what do I not know that I need to get from the guys that have arrived, and now you're actually putting the pieces together."
For the young TFOs or the prospective TFOs that are listening, just understand this conversation's a part of a lot of our recordings, and you should expect to go in and have a hard time. It's not easy.
Nope.
You know, I've talked about a lot of times before I went to aviation, like how hard could it be? You know, I was very comfortable in my law enforcement career. I could handle any incident that came my way. I go to aviation, and all of a sudden I'm up. You know, I'm upside down. I'm trying to figure out which way's up and which way's down. And I, like you said, I go to work, and then my stomach could be in a knot going to work because I knew I was going to make mistakes all day long. Sure. And it was like that kick me in the jimmy, you know. Yeah. And you knew you were going to get kicked in the jimmy that day.
Yep.
But you knowingly marched in there, and you know, obviously the end goal is to get to where that's not happening every day, and it does happen. But I just encourage you guys to stick with it for the listeners that are either there or are about to go through that process, because it is absolutely worth it.
For sure.
I always tell the new guys, like, if you don't love being the cop side, like if you just want to do aviation, go be a pilot.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to fly, go be a pilot somewhere
It's way
else.
easier.
Yeah, it's way easier. Go be a pilot somewhere else.
It's the easier
because
job of the two.
If you get to like an air unit, you're like, oh, I'm so excited just to fly around. It's like, that's not what we do. Like, we don't just fly around.
I don't think I looked up for at least 4 of those 6 months. I'm like, they're like, oh, the view must be cool up there, and you fly over the street. I'm like, I don't look out the front. I'm looking down. I'm looking at
backyards.
I'm looking at scenes. Yeah, I don't. The view isn't even part of it.
You got to really want to enjoy the cop work.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Boy, this is good stuff, especially for the people listening that want to be a TFO or good advice. Really good advice.
It happens on each flight too. I mean, you might have a call where you don't perform well, and you've got to bounce back from that and not snowball. Man, I really screwed that one up.
Yeah.
And now you're just down on yourself. It's like, hey, we got another call we got to go to, and it's time to. It's a fresh opportunity to do it right now and kind of start back over. And that's the people that are successful. One are able to self-assess and kind of know what went wrong, and then 2, bounce back and not snowball and kind of get it right. Okay, starting all over. We're starting fresh now. Here's a new opportunity to get as many things right as possible.
Right.
And that happens every day. Okay, tomorrow's a new flight. Tomorrow's a new day. And the better they do that, the more successful they are.
On the flip side of that, it's important as a TFO trainer and a CFI to remember that, right?
Yep.
That when I was there, it was really tough. And to remember that not everybody, or not really anybody, comes to the front door and does this job well at the beginning. So don't be too hard on these folks, you know, like you talked about.
For sure.
Yeah. And just because you've been doing it for 7 years and it makes sense to you, it does not make sense to them.
Yeah. Give us the Reader's Digest of the steps, and you pass the oral. What are the steps?
Sure. So you got your license,
you
you test, you pass the test, you'll be ranked on the list depending 1 through whatever how your score was, and then you basically sit on that list until there's an opening, and then once there's an opening, you get the call, and then you come up and you start TFO training, and your initial phase is 11 weeks. It's a grind. So.
Yeah. That's the initial.
Yeah,
that's the hardest 11 weeks.
So the way that Metro works is that list is only good for a calendar year. So it's good for 365 days. I got pulled up 7 days before my list expired. I was like, I have to retest. I have to restudy everything.
Oh my gosh.
And I got the call 7 days before my list expired. I was like, thank God. Thank God. So, yeah, so you get pulled up, and then, yeah, like Blake said, you're in the grind. You're in the trenches for a while.
And then you train as a TFO. To go through phases.
Yep. So 3 phases. The first phase is 11, and the next 2 are 9 weeks. And then at the end of each phase, you have a day check ride and a night check ride.
Okay.
So it's usually 2 to 3 hours per check ride. And you basically go up with a supervisor or a senior pilot, and they just evaluate based on where you're at in the training program. So
and they decide if you're going to phase 2 or phase 3.
So you got to pass your day and your night check ride. And like I said, the standards for each get progressively harder. And by the end of phase 3, your check rides you are a TFO, and I expect you to treat me like a crew member. And we're just going to evaluate, can you do this by yourself?
Yeah.
There might be little tiny things here and there, but that's not a big deal. But like, you need to be able to function.
Yeah.
Without help.
And then now you've accomplished that. You're a TFO now. You're good to go there. What's the time period until the pilot training comes into view or actually begins?
Yeah. So historically, I would say our unit was like a little far behind on that, but like I was one of the first ones that rolled like right into flight training.
Okay.
Must be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, it's because of all attrition we've had. I mean, it wasn't because they really they had to. Like their hands were tied. They were losing pilots for promotions, retirements, and then they saw the writing on the wall. And they're like, if we start in flight training now, he'll be ready maybe in a year. So we went right into it.
Okay.
So
let me ask you, obviously, I trust Blake's judgment here that you were good, really good candidate and went through your training really well. But what was the biggest challenge for the TFO part?
The biggest challenge for the TFO part is learning how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
The flow and the technology skills, they come with time and reps, but learning how to communicate with these guys and knowing, like I always tell the guys coming up, like, picture yourself arriving on a call as a patrol officer. What do you want from the air unit? What do you want the air unit to do to help you on this call? And that's how you need to think as a TFO. You need to ask the questions that you're going to help patrol. So that's, I would say, the hardest thing when you get here is just learning how to communicate to the patrol guys and our dispatchers to get the information that you need so you can be a service.
Excellent. Did you find that being concise was a challenge?
Yes. You start just talking, and then you sometimes key up and you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have the mic open right now. I'll just take my foot off. So, learning how to be clear and concise. And then what's funny here with Metro is like you have to be able to communicate policy almost. Like you have to know your policies as far as use of force, vehicle pursuits, surveillance, search warrants, search and seizure. Yeah. It's not just TFO. Like you have to know these things. Yeah. Like today, for example, on that stolen car we had exigency to go into a home for hot pursuit. And if you don't know the exceptions to the warrant rule as a TFO, you can't explain to the guys on the ground why they can run into that house.
Right.
It's still on them and it's still their decision.
Absolutely.
But you have to be able to articulate use of force before they arrive. You have to articulate why this vehicle needs to be pursued or not pursued. So you have to have a good understanding of your department's policy and how to apply that.
Very important. Canine policy, SWAT call-out policy. You have to know all these things.
I tell guys all the time, like, you have to think as a TFO at a supervisor level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you're definitely,
because you're managing.
Yeah.
You are, because you're managing and supervising without the rank.
Because you can't necessarily tell orders, right?
That's
you can't be ordering people. But for me, my goal is to articulate well enough to the supervisor so he has the tools that he needs and knows that he is confident based on the air unit's observations that I am making the right decision.
Yes.
And he's hearing those key words sometimes.
And there's times where I've been on vehicle pursuits and I'll hit every key. These are the speeds. This is the direction. Units are driving safe. And the lieutenant will hear me being calm and clear and be like, okay, we're going to continue this pursuit because we are dialed in.
Yeah. That's gold. What you just said is gold because there's a lot of, I've heard that around the country, around the world, that especially with pursuits, if the TFO is articulating all the facts in a calm manner and knowing the law and knowing the policy, that the supervisor that's not in that pursuit, that's sitting at the station listening, it tends to allow things to continue. Whereas if you're yelling or you're not in control or you're not articulating the facts properly, let's break it off. Break it off.
Yeah, it's the safer bet for them. It's always the safer bet.
I do the same thing if I was sitting in that station. But if I'm hearing somebody that's calm, it's like, we got this under control. This sounds good. We can continue here. Let's go catch that bad guy.
Yep.
I'm glad you brought that up. That was really good. We're running out of time, so I want to get to two more things. I want to talk about the rescue program here. It's a robust rescue program. We came over yesterday, talked to Ryan a little bit, met Matt from Search and Rescue side this morning. We were talking with Brianna from Rescue and John, and we learned a lot, didn't we?
Yeah.
This is a very interesting dynamic. Search and Rescue is staged, is officed in this hangar.
Yes.
Because you work so closely, and they have to cover water, mountain, desert, all sorts of different factors. You want to walk us through that, Blake? Walk us through the generalities of the search and rescue program here with the H-145 particularly.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
You bet. Yeah, so they're the experts. I mean, they're operators in all those environments, and then they have a cadre of volunteers that come in to help them. But they are the team leaders for all those things, and they're dedicated just to that purpose. And then if there's an air delivery component to that rescue, then obviously that's where we come in. And that's why we're housed in the same place. We train together and we work together all the time. But they do operate, they're an independent section. And so if it's a ground rescue or something that they don't necessarily need air to get there, then they'll drive or they'll hike. But they're all, climb experts and EMTs and dive experts and all those things. So if it is an air rescue, then we have an on-call rescue pilot and co-pilot. That once that call is made, then usually sometimes the patrol crew, if we happen to be on the ground at the time, or during day shift, there's enough people in the office that we get that rescue ship ready, and then search and rescue guys, if they're here, then they get that loaded up, they get their equipment in there, and then the pilots will come in here, they do a brief on where the rescue is going to take place, and then decisions are made about how that's going to be carried out, and then they go after it.
And for those that don't know, if some people that have never been to Vegas maybe don't understand, they think, oh, Las Vegas out in the desert. Yeah, but there's a mountain peak very close to here that you have gone to quite often, up in the snow and the ice and the weather and the elements. And there's also a very large lake not far from here, Lake Mead. Right. So you're dealing with water rescues, mountain rescues, snow, ice, desert, the whole gamut. That's quite unique.
There's exposure opportunities to get killed all around town. So whether it's you're climbing, you're in the desert, hiking, anytime we have a seasonal change, we see those rescues go, or the calls at least for rescue go up, because now people aren't prepared for what the heat's going to be like in the summer or the cold in the wintertime, or they, like you say, it's a warm desert. They don't prepare for that. So you go out for a hike, and now you break an ankle and you're on a climb. Now you're out in the cold overnight. Yeah. And so anytime there's a seasonal change, we see those go up, and then we're ready to go.
The Red Rocks area, which is very popular with climbers, hikers, tourists, some of whom, I won't say many, I'll just say some of whom are not prepared, right? Because it just looks cool. And that, like you said, the elements can change quickly here at any time of year. That gives you a lot of business. Yeah. That alone, just Red Rocks.
Very busy, yeah.
Wow. And what's the mount again? Mount Charleston. Right now, we came in, that is snow-capped right now.
Right.
And there have been rescues up there in the snow. We heard about some of them. They're amazing. Yeah. People sliding down ice fields and with serious injuries. And if the helicopter wasn't there, they're
the countless
they're in
lives
trouble.
saved. Yeah.
What's the elevation of that peak? Roughly?
Just under 12,000.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And you can see it from here. That's amazing. One thing that we learned yesterday, those that are familiar with Vegas know that there's a Ferris wheel called the High Roller. Yeah. It's 550 feet high. And when we were talking to Ryan yesterday, he mentioned that you guys train for that annually to rescue off the top of that Ferris wheel.
Right, just in case.
Just in case, because it has top hatches, and you train for that.
That's right, yeah.
That is comforting for a lot of people. Sure. Because bad things could happen. it could quit, and you
can confidently get on that high roller and know that we can snatch you off the top if we need.
Now
to.
That hasn't happened in real life yet, has it?
Not so far, no. Not that I'm aware of.
Annual training potential, and if that H-145 is not here, maybe that changes things and doesn't get rescued. That was interesting. I didn't think about it until Ryan brought it up, and I went, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yeah,
I think it's really 550 feet.
Yeah,
it's up there.
Well, there's some other unique aspects given the size of the buildings you have here. If you have to insert somebody on top of those buildings, or pull them off, can you talk about the capabilities you guys have for that? Whether it's tactical teams or anything else, how do you guys train with those?
They train for all. We do all those things out of the 145. So we've got that twin engine redundancy. Both with SWAT operators to be able to do insertions, or they can do some overwatch functions from there. We have F1 now, the major race, we cover all that stuff. Any major, we have NASCAR come all the time. So just with that awareness of active shooters and the things that can happen at big events, we try to stay ahead of that and stay prepared for it. Yeah. And we do all those responses. I mean, patrol would respond and get a good look at what's going on, but anything to do with delivering personnel would be with the 145.
We were really impressed talking to Brianna, and she filled us in on the different things that each of those members of search and rescue have to be qualified in. They're EMTAs, they're dive certified, they're dealing with hoists, they're getting hoisted in, so they have to have that. And they have to stay current on all that. So there's a lot of training involved.
Yes.
I'm sure that, and the fact that they're housed with you, that helps with that.
And some of them embed themselves with SWAT and they're TAC medics.
Yes.
They go on high-risk search warrants.
Yeah, she was talking about
crazy.
That. How the volunteers were amazing, too. I thought that was really cool that they involved so many volunteers, very experienced volunteers, doctors, nurses.
Doctors right there.
For the SWAT part of it, too. Very interesting. It sounds like, to me, after listening to that and having that conversation, they're prepared for just about anything. And you just confirmed that just about anything can happen here. Right. I mean, the races, the amount of people that come into this town on a daily basis that don't live here, all those things, being prepared is so important, which brings us to this final thing that I want to talk about. And that's Route 91 at the Mandalay Bay mass shooting. Now, this is back in 2017, October 1st. Neither of you were at this air unit. Brad, you weren't on the job when this happened. But Blake, can you talk about, not the event itself? I mean, we all know what happened there. It's awful. It's awful. And I'll just remind everybody, it's 60 dead, 400 plus wounded, 867 wounded if you count people that got trampled and hurt. This is a huge event in U.S. history. Difficult to predict that something like that could ever happen anywhere, but it happened. It happened. What has, from the air unit point of view, we're not going to say, hey, what's the department done? No, there's massive things that have changed. From the air unit point of view, is there anything that day changed in how you looked at your jobs here and your capabilities and how you do things today differently than prior to October 1st?
I don't know if they implemented anything specific in the air unit. I know that the air unit that was airborne that night was obviously one of the first to get to the area to respond to it, and had what they thought were eyes on at least one. And there were a lot of information coming in, like there were multiple shooters, there was only a single. And from what I understand, they pinpointed it using the camera and all the technology. As you would expect, they were right on it and going, hey, I think we've got a location here. If I remember this correctly, like you said, I wasn't in the unit at the time. The TFO that was on board the ship was a trainee, and so they decided somewhere in the action they said, well, we need to get a more experienced crew going. Good call. They flew back, changed crews, and then came back to assist as best they could. So I think it just shows it. I don't want to say it was routine, but almost like you would respond to any call. Right. We were there and knew right where to go, and were able to call things out. But I think maybe that TFO that was on, just because they were in that learning process still, they thought, well, let's get somebody that's going to be able to call these things the way we need them to be called. But no major changes as far as that goes.
That's interesting, though, that what you just said, and is that you used the word routine. I know you hate the word routine. I do too, but I understand that. This is a massive, terrible, devastating event. But from a tactical air crew perspective, it's just a large scale of what you do every day. In a way, I'm not diminishing anything about that. I mean, it's huge, but it really is. It's what TFOs do, is coordinate massive scenes. Now, is it overwhelming that day? Oh yeah, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine how overwhelming it was. The information, you talked about information coming in and going out. Probably 90% of the information coming in was false that night.
That's probably more than that.
I don't know, but I'm guessing from experience that early information is usually completely wrong. How does a TFO manage that?
Right.
But they do.
And the public is there. I mean, every 911 call is another piece of information that somebody has to try to make sense of that and draw a tactical picture of what's actually taking place and how we respond to it.
Yeah. I used to talk about this in classes, talk about from the Los Angeles perspective, Florence and Normandy, the big and the riots. And I would have paid to be over that as a TFO. The North Hollywood bank shootout. I was in K-9 at the time. I did some searching that day, but I would have paid to be that air crew that day.
Sure, to have that perspective.
It was bad things there, but I would have paid to do it because that's what we trained for.
Right, and you knew you could have helped.
Yes.
You knew you could have added something.
I'm absolutely positive I could have helped because that's like, it's like training and never getting to play a game. You know, you got to play that game. And if the game comes up, if you're prepared, it is going to feel routine, even though it isn't.
Right.
I mean,
but you want to put me in, coach. Like that's right. That's my bread and butter.
Route 91 music, that was not the norm at all. No one had ever seen that. Nobody. There's no way to predict that. But, you know, as a TFO and as an air unit, you have to think about things like that. What ifs?
Yeah.
What if we had a mass shooting here? Now, what if it happened here? What if we had an earthquake? What if we had a hurricane? It doesn't matter what it is. That air crew is going to be involved in it. And so it's almost like it confirms why we do our job. That sort of event confirms this is an important part. And then you add to it the H-445, you add to it the search and rescue part, you know, that changes things too. You know, how would we be involved in that? Where would we land?
And that now is part of the response. I mean, if we do have a mass event, it's assumed that the rescue ship is going to be not as rescue, but as some sort of a response, whether that's
SWAT or
bringing tactical personnel to the picture.
Yeah.
And so we have trained in that way, and there's some preparedness there as far as responding to.
Kevin McMahill, when he took office here, he's our sheriff now. One of his first things he wanted to do was have that program.
Right.
So once we started training with SWAT more, actually like having that observation platform because he wanted that response.
Yeah. It makes sense. It's being proactive and it's having foresight, thinking about the what ifs and being prepared for that. How can we help? We might not be able to prevent it, but once it's happening, can we contain and capture or eliminate, or can we transport, wounded? I mean, that's overwhelming that night. It's incredible. And before we went online, just so people know, we didn't surprise them with this. We talked about whether we could even talk about it. I think that's important for listeners because that event affected so many. We both talked about people we know. Yeah. John and I both know people that were severely wounded. Right. I'm sure you guys probably do too. There was a lot of cops there. Yeah, a lot of cops like country music, and I mean there was tons of them there. So that's not surprising. But one of my neighbors, who's just a wonderful person, she was severely wounded there. So it affected me, and I'm hundreds and hundreds of miles away. And I remember thinking, what would I do if I was over that? It's overwhelming. But that's why we're here, and that's why we train.
We actually had a cop that was in the audience and lost his life giving assistance.
That's right. I do remember.
Not working the event, but just there as an audience member.
As a fan, and lost his life.
Yeah, Charleston Hartfeld. It was
I remember.
Big loss.
That's right.
Because you don't go to these things as an audience member expecting to be
right.
It's
like you're on break.
duty.
Nobody thinks that. Even a cop, who's more situationally aware. You're not thinking that. Right. You're thinking about the acts you're going to see tonight and how wonderful it's going to be and having a good time with friends and family.
Where my next beer is coming from.
Yeah. You're not thinking about anything that negative, and it ended up being terrible. But it's worth talking about, even though it's painful and it's hard and it's a negative thing. It's worth talking about because that's what air units exist for.
Yeah, it's any given Sunday for us. You know, you never know you're going to show up to work and be tasked with covering something like that, or an officer that goes down, or any number of critical incidents that we're over. But you know, you've talked about how you trained when you're not on a flight, going through videos. You're prepping yourself in those times when you're not doing something, so that when you are doing something, you're ready to go. You're ready to be put in.
You got to have that switch. Be like, it's game time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
and thinking about the big ones, you know, the officer downs.
Yep.
Those are big events that happen way too often.
And it's emotional when you're, or potentially emotional when you're there, and you've got to set that aside and just plant your feet and go to work.
Yeah. We were just with Texas DPS. We had Clay Lacey, who's been a guest many times. He's a co-host, well-known trainer. He was over the Dallas 5. He spent a lot of time hanging out of the helicopter with a rifle over downtown Dallas when those officers were being killed under him. And it was the most frustrating event of his life. And it's affected him. He talks about it openly. We're grateful that he talks about it openly because it's good for him and it's good for the rest of us to hear that. Who could have predicted that? Nobody, but it happened.
Yeah.
And it's so that's why we bring it up. It's not to relive terrible things. It's to learn from them.
Yeah.
Learn from these terrible things so that we can all be better and our community can be better and better prepared. So with that, John, any closing thoughts for Brad and Blake?
Without going into 30 minutes of additional conversation, I don't have a lot. I just want to thank you guys for letting us in your house and showing us the hospitality that you have. Really impressed with you guys and your operation here. This facility is one of the nicest facilities I've ever been in.
Glad to hear it. You're welcome. Agreed. It's our pleasure.
Going into your hangar, I could eat my breakfast off your hangar floor.
Oh, yeah.
Our mechanics take great pride of that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I like the logo you guys have in the middle of the floor. I will say, as part of the Blades of Valor tour, we have Lloyd Horgan with us, world's best helicopter videographer. And I did catch him stepping on those wings. So
did he? Yeah.
He owes you guys some
walking on the logo.
Hopefully we're all going to witness the push-ups that are going to be done to pay the price for that.
I asked Ryan, I said, how many push-ups does he owe you? He goes, at least 50. So
and luckily Lloyd can do them. I mean, he's a strong guy.
He's probably out there doing them right now.
We need it on video. Yeah. I'm sure Brent will take care of that.
But really, thank you guys for everything. Really impressed with your operation. We're going to have to have another conversation with you guys.
Thanks, you bet.
To dig into some additional stuff.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk about it. It's we're proud of it.
Yeah,
it's fun to talk about.
We can feel that.
Proud of this guy, and
yes.
proud of the unit and the city and our department, and it's fun to talk about it.
And we love the service we do. So
we can tell the passion's there. It's definitely there. I'll just close by saying the facility is amazing. It really is incredible. And when we were just in Phoenix, they said, "Oh, wait till you see Vegas's hangar." They said, "They want our airplane. We want their hangar." That's what they said. And then I mentioned that to Ryan. He goes, "Oh yeah." It's because this place is absolutely amazing. It's big. It's clean. It's organized. It's user friendly. You're way ahead of the game.
We hope to fill it up with aircraft and personnel.
I hope you do.
And scale everything up.
Build it and they'll come, right?
We'll tell you where their airplane's parked, so you can go snatch it up. Because their two Pilatus fixed wings they're incredible.
That would be nice.
They're beautiful and they're incredible. And
at a minimum, just put a sticker on their airplane.
Yeah, at least that.
Just smack a sheriff's.
Because I know they come here regularly for different things. And they really spoke highly of your unit, of the cooperation, and as to be expected.
Glad to hear it. Good.
Blake, Brad, thank you very, very much. You've enlightened us, and we appreciate the hospitality and the time that you gave us. And with that, thanks again to Airbus for sponsoring this 2025 Blades of Valor Tour. And Massif, thank you. And we're sitting in our pajamas here in our flight suits, getting to interview some incredible people on this tour. And we're learning a lot and having fun doing it. So with that, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on the Hangar Z Podcast.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Hangar Z Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message after a word from our sponsors. Cheers.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
Thank you to our sponsor, BLR Aerospace. BLR Aerospace's revolutionary fast fin system improves performance and enhances safety across various helicopter platforms. This cutting-edge aftermarket solution improves tail rotor effectiveness, stability, and payload capacity while reducing fuel consumption and pilot fatigue. Trusted globally, FastFin delivers unmatched control, efficiency, and reliabilities for diverse helicopter operations. Learn more at blraerospace.com.
Thank you to our sponsor, Becker Avionics. Becker Avionics, new 3D spatial audio will mitigate possible confusion in the cockpit by repeating the last 90 seconds of incoming messages broadcast over any two channels. Check out the new AMU 6500 at www.beckerusa.com.
Thank you for joining us on this stop of the 2025 Blades of Valor Tour, brought to you by Airbus and Massif Flight Suits. This tour has been incredible so far, and the entire team has learned a great deal from all of our guests. Las Vegas Metro did not disappoint. This unit is truly making a big difference every day in the lives of Vegas residents and the tourists that visit the city by the millions. Thank you to Las Vegas Metro PD for the hospitality and sharing with us everything that you do. Now it's off to San Diego PD for our final stop of the tour. Stay safe, and we'll catch you the next time on the Hangar Z podcast.